Hey everyone, this is FaZe and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing the all-new Apple Watch Series 10. I'm going to be conducting this review while I am driving my Tesla. It's going to be driving itself, so while it's driving itself, I will be talking to you. So without any further ado, let's jump in my Tesla and let's get reviewing. All right, so we are in my car. It is driving itself and I can talk to you guys. A lot of people were wanting the Apple Watch Series 10 to be this massive redesign, similar to what we saw with the iPhone 10 when Apple announced it back in 2017. It was the 10-year anniversary of the iPhone, and they did a massive redesign. And I think a lot of people were expecting that with the Apple Watch also. But to be very honest, it's a very popular, iconic design. It's comfortable on the wrist, and I think that's the biggest thing, how it feels when the watch is on your wrist. And I think it feels great, and I think the enhancements that they made this year by making it thinner and lighter does make a difference. At first, when Apple said that it's 10% thinner, at first I didn't think that was going to be a big difference, but to be very honest, it does make a difference when it's on your wrist and you're wearing something throughout the day. So I like the fact that it's thinner, I like the fact that it's lighter. However, the biggest issue that I have with the new Series 10 Apple Watch is that, yes, Apple, increased the display size of the Apple Watch, but the bezels are kind of jarring. Like for example, with the iPhone 16 Pro and the 16 Pro Max, they got bigger displays, but Apple also reduced the bezel size. And by doing that, the display is larger, but at the same time, the footprint, the actual body of the phone doesn't feel much larger. The new watches are larger, both by the height and the width of the watch itself. And at the same time, the bezel is still really, really thick. With the Series 7 Apple Watch, Apple did something really cool where they kind of curved the display a little bit. So it gave you an illusion that it's a bezel-less sort of a display. But with the Series 10, it's almost like they flattened the display a little bit with just a small curve. And the bezel is something you noticed right away. So I kind of wish, and I said this in my first impressions video, that I really wish that Apple focused more on eliminating the bezels or, narrowing down the bezels to give it more of that futuristic look versus just giving a bigger display size. Because to be very honest, I don't see a lot of, Apple Watch users saying, oh, I wish that the display was big. And yes, you get an extra line of text, but to be honest, that doesn't make a big difference on a day-to-day basis. So I really wish Apple focused on making the Apple Watch smaller by reducing the bezel around it, which would have given that futuristic look that I think we all really, really wanted. Or Apple could have increased the display size by, once again, just narrowing down the border. So that's, I think, the biggest issue that I have. And I feel like, by Series 11 or by Series 12, Apple's going to say, oh, look, we've completely narrowed down the bezels and stuff, but that's something that they could have done now. Also, the new Apple Watch Series 10 has sleep apnea detection. So that's something that I didn't really get to test because I think there's 20, 30 sleep cycles that you need to do in order for that to work. But it's nice to know that the Apple Watch can now detect if you have sleep apnea, which is a very common problem for a lot of people. Also, the battery life of the Apple Watch Series 10 is pretty much the same as the previous generations. But one thing I really do like with the new one is that you get fast charging. So, kid you not, within 30 minutes, I have charged my Apple Watch from 0 to 80%. And that's really, really quick. And to be honest, I think it was even above 80%. It was like 86, 87%. So when it comes to battery life, don't get a bigger battery itself, but it charges really fast. And I don't have an issue with charging the Apple Watch because like I said, I just plug it in for, a little bit and I'm good to go. Another enhancement that I really like with the Apple Watch Series 10 is the fact that you can now listen to Apple Music and podcasts directly from the built-in speakers of the new Series 10. Before, you couldn't really do that. Yeah, you could answer phone calls and stuff, but I don't think Apple was very confident in the quality to allow you to play music or podcasts from the Series 10, but they've made enhancements and it sounds great.
From the classroom to the workplace, we'll explain what Amazon's decision to call work.
I wouldn't recommend to listen to your music or podcast or whatever with your Apple Watch. I would prefer you do it on your phone or you put in your headphones or something like that. But if you don't have your AirPods or whatever lying around, it's nice to know that through your wrist, you can listen to everything. Also, going back to the display, it is brighter. I think Apple said it's around 20% brighter. And that is something you notice right away, especially when it comes to the always on display. Because I like the fact that my watch face is a lot more visible than ever before. And also I like the fact that now the second hand also moves. when it's in the always on display. So that's something I really like. It makes it much more like a traditional watch more than ever before. And once again, there are other minor things that Apple has done to the new Series 10 Apple Watch. What I just covered in this video is pretty much the sum of it. And I like the enhancements, but yes, at the same time, I was wishing that Apple did more. And another thing that I can say is that I think now a lot more people can go for the Apple Watch Series 10 versus an Apple Watch Ultra, because technically, if you go for the largest Series 10 model, that screen size is actually a tad bit bigger than the Apple Watch Ultra. Of course, with the Apple Watch Ultra, you get the dual frequency GPS, which you don't get with the Series 10. You also don't get the action button, and you don't get the siren and a few other small things. But I think the list of features has narrowed down by a lot if you compare the Ultra 2 and the Series 10. And I think with the larger display, the new finishes, I think the Series 10 looks a lot more classier and much more elegant. So if that's what you're going for, you should definitely go for the Series 10. But overall, I feel like if you have the Series 9, I don't think it's that big of an update. But at the end of the day, I would say I have mixed feelings with the Series 10. It's a nice iterative update, but I did expect more, given that it's a 10th anniversary edition of the Apple Watch. But at the end of the day, I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the new Series 10 Apple Watch? Like I said in my previous videos, I personally will be going for the Hermes Apple Watch with the new Grand H band. I think that looks really, really classy, really elegant. So if you're into that, then stay tuned to my unboxing video that should be coming out sometime in October when I get my hands on that Hermes Apple Watch. But subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. Till then, see you next time.